We're back.
Woo! Up to 3.
Yeah, it's Aaron Live,
Wow.
last second live stream here, joining you
Always.
for lunch. And Shelley I didn't expect her to be
No.
here this morning. She
No.
kind of just dropped in, big surprise visit, so that'll make the show twice as good.
I don't really live here. I just stopped in for a visit.
That's right. She's, you never know.
Yeah.
Doesn't really say, and then she just shows up. Look at this. Another day, another live stream with Aaron.
Yep.
Another one of those.
Every day.
See, there's his what's up? That's his go-to. Jay Lee's here. Hello, everyone. That would be about 7 people right now. So, although I think we have more on Facebook. I think the eyeball up here just shows for YouTube viewership.
Oh, gotcha.
So we could have like millions on FaceTube. Facebook right now.
FaceTube. That's what it's
I'm going to start a new FaceTube.
Yeah.
Hello, Aaron and Super Shelley. Wow, you got
That's
like
nice.
Multiple nicknames now.
I do.
Live long and prosper.
Some of them are not
Live long and
appropriate
prosper. For family viewing.
Yeah.
Statistical zeros dropped in.
Slept already.
That's I'm in a crappy mood. So. But I want you guys to know that I'm.
Why are you in a bad mood?
Lack of sleep. My dog woke me up prior to 5 a.m. Oh, sorry. Her dog woke me up prior to 5 a.m.
You named him.
I did, but you bought him.
My dog.
So you guys are going to be really excited today because I've got a whole stack of portfolios here, and I'm going to go over each and every one of them page for page, and no matter how long it takes. No, I'm not going to do that.
No, been there, done that.
Not going to do that.
No. Aaron Louvier.
Excellent. Actually, I've got some. I got some layouts I got to do for WRAITH of God, and I kind of wanted to share the experience with you out there of
his thought processes.
A little storytelling.
There actually might be a couple thoughts.
That's right, 1 or 2.
Oh no! Here it comes. Oh no!
This is going to wake one of us up.
One of us, yeah.
Louis Brightman, blah blah blah. He's on Facebook at the moment at the doctor's. Well,
way to multitask.
Good job. We all we get to a certain age, and I think our doctor's visits are our second home.
Oh my gosh, seriously. That's where I'm headed.
You and Art both have dog stuff going on.
Ooh.
He just bought a puppy.
Oh, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're so cute.
I know, but then you got to train them and all that kind of.
Yeah, but they're lucky they're so cute.
True.
That's why they get away with everything. Like chewing on cords. And
yeah, he just chewed up an electrical cord. Yeah. Good thing it wasn't plugged in.
No. Husker!
He's down bugging sis probably. All right. Like in typical fashion on a last second live stream, I'm not prepared, which really gives it its charm, I think.
Yeah.
So we got to open up my camera settings here.
There you go.
So we can do some, Bill Maxwell's here. Hey, how about Bill? Thanks for joining us. Oh yeah, the crowd's growing. It's growing.
Yeah.
It's growing.
It amazes me how many. It's so nice.
Okay, I took a shower this morning.
Thanks for sharing.
Samantha walked by all the way over there in the hallway, and she goes, "Did you use Hero this morning?" She bought me she works at this
Bath and Body Works.
Bath and Body Works at the mall that sells shampoo and cologne and candles and everything that smells.
Yeah.
And I said, find me something that I can use as a body wash, shower gel type thing that doesn't smell like a chick, right? And so she brings me this thing called Hero, and she goes, "Because you're my hero." And then she laughed in my face. So I don't know if she really believes that or not, but she got me this thing called Hero, and it actually smells pretty good, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
You can't even smell it, can you?
No, it's okay. No, it's
you don't
like
it? Oh my gosh!
No,
no, for crying out loud!
Has anyone seen Hyper Potato's cat? Oh my gosh, I hate my laugh.
Anyone's seen my cat? I'm supposed to take her to the vet, and she's hiding.
Husker loves the vet.
If he shows up over here, we'll let you know.
Yeah. Oh man, that is so funny.
Oh look, Hyper Kaiju's bringing it today.
Yep, it wouldn't feel right. It just wouldn't be Aaron Live. When you showered, I brushed my hair.
Wow, look at that. It's
pretty girl.
we're ready to hit the town.
Pretty girl.
So
What else?
Ashley's here. You already said hi to
Yeah.
Ashley. Hi, Ashley. I'll say hi to Ashley. Hi, Ashley. Okay.
All right, so tell us what's up.
It's like Jiminy Christmas.
Draw already. Quit your yapping.
Okay. All right.
It's always warm. What?
Hand me those garbage man pages, will you?
You are bossy.
Please. I said please.
These two? How many
Well,
do you
just
want?
the stack. Just hand me the stack.
The stack. It's like 6 inches.
I know.
All of these?
No, most of them.
Oh my gosh.
There's metamorpho pages on the bottom. I don't need, but that's enough.
Holy cow. All right, go for it.
So check this out. This is like a stack of garbage man pages, which you could actually see if you pre-order
What? Where did it go? There it is.
my Garbage Man trade paperback right there.
Where can you order it from?
Well, you can order it from Amazon or your local comic shop. It's being published by Dark Horse Comics. It has 18 pages of brand new material in it.
I heard.
And it's some of the best work I've ever done. So anyway, so as I switch
Awesome.
cameras,
Awesome.
there's a couple things I just want to point out about visual storytelling before I begin drawing here. I'll give you an idea of what I'm thinking. When I did Garbage Man, every time a new chapter started, I would work the title into the artwork of the story. This is, of course, a Will Eisner thing or a Jim Stranko thing, so it's not a new thing, but not a lot of people are doing it these days. So
I like it.
So, so anyway, I have this opening sequence here that there's two ways you can approach a page, especially an introduction page. You can start with an establishing shot, which is what everybody would expect, or you can do it backwards, which I did here. So you open up and you have your opening shot. We have Garbage Man and this monster who's been set up on the previous page of the last story. It was a cliffhanger, so we revealed this monster on the last page. Then, so we open this brand new chapter. We show the hand in the foreground of the creature, the werewolf thing. I seem to have to do a lot of werewolves, don't I?
Well, it's a theme.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
And there's Garbage Man. Then we switch, do a close-up of the monster. And then we pull back, and we get some action going here, although we still haven't really established our environment all that well, but we have established the spatial relationship between the two characters. And I worked in the title. And I'm very proud to say that I actually did this lettering myself.
Yes.
One thing I used to be was a terrible letterer and a terrible designer, and I've gotten much better as my career has gone on because I've made an effort to actually do that and get better at these things. So I'm actually quite proud of the sound effects lettering that I did in this thing, which you can see if you order the trade paperback. Anyway, so we go from this page to the second page, which is really kind of our splash page. Now I've sort of established our environment, or I should say reestablished it because it was established in the previous story or the previous chapter. But so I've reestablished my environment. They're out here in the woods. We see the railroad track back here. They're on the side of a hill here. And we've got action. The two of them are fighting. A heck of a lot of detail, but at the same time, there's a lot of line work and detail in the background, but I've got enough white space and solid blacks in here, my two main characters, that your attention is definitely right here. And that's where it should be. Now, this could have just been one big splash page and then turn the page, but I really felt like I needed a transition from this to the start of the next page. And so I added down here at the bottom this little silhouette of them tumbling down the hill. Okay, so we're into the fight sequence. It starts here with him leaping at him. They're now engaged in battle. And then just a little tiny silhouette down here at the bottom that shows that they're now tumbling down the hill, right? So we're getting from here to there rather quickly. I just felt like I wanted a little bit more momentum on the page. And so then we get in here into the action here as a werewolf hacks off Garbage Man's arm we're actually using the sound effect here, which again I did myself.
I did it myself.
As a panel, we get a close-up a la Todd McFarlane, where we're just showing the eye and a little bit of the mouth, but it certainly reads that Garbage Man is in distress. We see why he's in distress as his arm falls to the ground here, and then he reacts to his arm actually missing. Then he takes off in the background, feeling a little bit like maybe he's in trouble here. He just lost his arm.
Well, losing a limb.
Yeah, he's losing a fight. And our monster here is like, that looks like that could be good eating.
Ew.
And so he takes a bite out of the arm.
Oh, no.
Reaction shot didn't go well. And then we see him screaming here in pain as his face starts to bubble up from the toxic reaction to trying to eat Garbage Man's arm.
That's what you get.
But then
you
we
don't know
this,
where that arm's been.
That's right, especially this guy's arm. And look at this. We take the sound effects lettering of him screaming, and it leads us right off the page, which says, "Oh, it's time to turn to the other page."
Oh, how clever!
And look what happens at the top. That sound effect continues and leads us right down into this panel, where our two hunters, who have been established earlier, are out looking for their buddy, who sadly has been a victim of the werewolf, so he's not going to be with them anymore. And so the reason I bring this up is that storytelling, in a lot of ways, is a lost art form in comics these days, because a lot of artists are more intent on wowing you with all their detail and line work, and clarity of storytelling becomes secondary to their purpose, and it should be your primary purpose. And I'm not saying you can't put detail in, because certainly people want to see,
you do,
right? But your number one priority when you're laying a page out is telling the story clearly, so people understand what's going on, the spatial relationship between the characters, so they can follow the action, even though there's no word balloons or dialogue. You can still pretty much tell what's going on.
It flows. It doesn't take humongous leaps, and
exactly. And so those are my primary concerns when I lay a page out. And wowing you with brilliant artwork is my secondary concern, or in some cases a tertiary. That would be third, wouldn't it?
Oh, I don't know, because that's above my fourth grade vocabulary.
Okay. Concern. So, because we don't want so much detail in a given panel that everything runs together and you can't separate what you should be looking at, what your focus is, from just all the noise.
Mm-hmm.
But, a lot of people are wowed when they see an original piece of artwork that's just got lines all over the place and say, wow, that's really cool. But is it really serving the purpose of what our job is telling you the story? Okay? So anyway, let's just keep that in mind as we move forward.
Ooh, how much, good question here, how much of your film school do you use in story layouts?
Quite a bit. To be honest with you, oops, sorry. I always forget. That's a good question. When I went to film school, one thing they just kind of hammered into our heads is that you don't want to pull your viewer out of the film. In other words, if you're moving the camera around and doing really kind of fancy things that distracts your viewer to go, oh, wow, that was a really cool camera move, what you've instantly done is taken them out of the movie, right?
Right. So
when you're reading a comic book story or you're watching a movie, ideally, you just want to be engrossed into the film. And so there's this, that's more of, say, a Frank Capra approach. Those of you who don't know who Frank Capra is, look him up, but a famous director back from the golden age of cinema. And he didn't do fancy stuff. He didn't do, booms or tracking shots, or he directed the action and the actors in front of the camera, told the story, allowed you to get engrossed into the story and the characters, and had very satisfying films. Of course, probably his most notable work is It's a Wonderful Life, the famous Jimmy Stewart Christmas movie, right? But then you have guys like Spielberg or Scorsese and others that they're good storytellers, don't get me wrong, but they're also sort of enamored with what they can do with the camera. and how fancy they can, and interesting things they can do with the camera. I don't have a problem with that, but you have to be careful that what you're doing with the camera does not distract from the story you're telling. And so I got really sort of, actually, when I was in film school, my layouts sort of became very boring because they were very straightforward. It was very tell the story, be clear. And when I got into comics after my rather short attempt at film career ended, I got into comics, I look back and I was like, I was doing more interesting layouts as a sixth grader than I was doing once I got out of. So I had to actually went back and started looking at Jim Lee's stuff and things he was doing to kind of energize my layouts and my storytelling. But what I did learn from film school was clarity, and I have not forgotten that. That you can add these other elements, but you still have to be clear. You still have to tell the story. People still have to be able to follow what's going on. And so that's again, has always been my number one priority. So there's really two ways to look at breaking a page down in terms of storytelling. Can I hand you that?
Yep.
Thank you. You can do an approach where what's the most important thing or the most interesting thing is what's happening inside the panels, or making what I do with the panels the most interesting thing on the page. And I think that's oftentimes a mistake.
Okay, so you might want to turn off that.
Oh,
light.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to sort of knock out a border here. It's going to simulate.
All right, let's do some of these before you get too involved. Let's see.
I may have to do this with a pen, actually, so people can see it.
So
I don't think I've ever seen Aaron give this many high fives to so many faces.
then there's this one.
Aaron is throwing out slaps like he's collecting past due rent today.
But a good question.
I'll tell you, Aaron, have you ever thought about doing a story intended for black and white, playing the stark contrast and that kind of thing? That page art is immaculate. Thank you very much. Shelley, could I get you to walk over to the flat file underneath the TV, top drawer, right-hand side, and see if that any of that Swedish story is sitting there on top or close to being on top on the right-hand side there? It wouldn't be in an envelope, it'd be loose. So it actually might be on the left-hand side.
Archie. Ooh, that's fine.
Well, you know, Carl's actually using that for a cover. Carl Kiesel, friend of mine for many years, has a Kickstarter up called Impossible Jones, and I did a pinup for him, and he's actually now using it for the cover for his trade paperback. He likes it so much. How about that? Okay, so to answer your question, yes. Okay, this is doggone it. What can we do about the lighting? Let me turn that on, see if that helps. It may not. No, turn it off. Turn it off.
Do you want me to turn off the headlights?
I think it'll be too dark, but go ahead, give it a shot.
Oh goodness. Someday we'll figure out the whole lighting situation.
It's different in the day than it is at night. That's better, but makes the picture grain. Right? Yeah, right. No, definitely not that.
Nope.
Let's go with that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a story that's going to be in a Swedish comic sci-fi thing that I wrote, penciled, and inked, and this is actually will be printed as a black and white comic.
That is a little grainy.
Yeah. So I don't know. You want to turn the light back on and see if it. Yeah, that's probably better.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a black and white story, a sci-fi story, sort of, Blade Runner-esque in the terms of the environment,
Goodness.
So I like a crazy person, decided to make it raining outside.
Making it right.
So you can see, you know, the inking on this was experimentation for me, because I inked all this with a pen and did it very loosely. Although it may not look loose to you, it actually is kind of rough around the edges and stuff. And this is how I wanted to ink. I probably shouldn't show you the whole story, but I wanted to kind of get a feel for what I was going to do with Wraith of God. That's a android, by the way. He's not crushing some dude's face. That's
I want the Swedish thing.
So when I have more information on that and when this is coming out, the Swedish thing. Of course, this is the cover. This is the story that is attached to this cover. That's the cover for the sci-fi magazine. So, and he wanted it all in black and white, and so he didn't necessarily ask me to. Thank you, dear. Didn't exactly ask me to, I guess, color it in black and white and do a tonal rendering, but that's what I ended up doing because I thought it would look cool, and I actually think it does look pretty cool.
It does look cool.
And to answer Shelley's question, yes, I did draw this.
Did you draw that?
So
hey.
Yes, I don't know, honestly, when you're drawing or publishing black and white, I just think it's a hard sell. People say well, that'd be really cool, because it can be really cool. But then without color, people are kind of like, it doesn't sell as well. You know, it's like went to that period of time where Turner Movies bought all the MGM films, and they started colorizing them because they thought, we'll put them on TV. People won't watch them if they're in black and white, but we colorize them, they will. And you know, of course, it pissed off all the people in film for essentially ruining these black and white films. But your average person wants color. So I would love to do a black and white thing. I'd love to do Wraith of God in black and white. I think it would look really, really cool.
Yeah.
But I just don't think, I think, you know, most of your audience would rather have it in color. So I'm going to do something that color-wise, it's a little bit more simpler and stark, you know.
Gotcha.
So it's certainly not going to be over-rendered, because I'm not a big fan of that. Okay, so let's take a look at our script real quick here. There you go. The colorized Casablanca sucks, doesn't it, though?
Oh, man.
You don't have to G.I. Joe us here, and it's okay to smash his face. Well, I mean, you know, but I'm
just saying.
Yeah, I'm just letting you know. If that was a human being in that panel, I probably wouldn't have had his brains flying out and stuff. I probably, you know, but being a robot, that was kind of why I sort of pointed that out. Okay, so now we've seen page 1 and 2 of, but let's go over it real quick. Just those of you maybe who missed it.
Yes. Hey, now.
Actually, I probably should do this, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
And go right into it.
Yeah. Okay,
so we have a pre-launch page for Wraith of God. That's the project, the page I'm going to be laying out here in a minute, up on Indiegogo right now. It's a pre-launch page, which means I'm just looking for people to sign up that are interested in it. Give me your email so I can bombard you with sales promotion as soon as it goes live in mid-August. But it gives me an idea, in all seriousness, it gives me an idea of how many people are interested in the project or would like to buy it, and then I can sort of plan my launch strategy around those numbers. So it is important, if you want to get this, to go in and sign up early. And plus, I did a little incentive.
Yeah.
You get a special trading card.
Right.
If you sign up now and buy later, you get a free trading card. That'll only be available to people that are involved in the pre-sign-up campaign there. So, and that the link to that is in the description at the bottom of the YouTube channel here. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook, it's on my Facebook page. if you're not a friend of mine, because I'm maxed out on friends, that doesn't mean I don't like you. It just means I'm maxed out. That's why I started the Aaron Lopresti art page on Facebook, where I have actually more followers there than I do on my personal page. But there's also a link to this campaign. And if you heard about me on Twitter and I can't be watching on Twitter, but it's on my profile page on Twitter. And if you're an Instagram user, it's on my bio page on my Instagram page. So there's links everywhere. That's awesome. To get to this. And this is one of 3 covers that the book will feature. This is the second version, which is my Marvel Retro cover, kind of a little homage to Gil Kane in the 1972-ish Marvel books. It's kind of fun. A lot of people seem to be responding well to this. And I have a third cover coming from a very, very big name artist.
Shall remain nameless.
Will remain nameless until I actually get something from him that I can promote. So please help me out with that. And also, if this is your first time joining us,
there you go.
Let's all go.
I hit the wrong button.
Let's all go to the lobby.
That's usually for our Sunday show where we're snacking. So you'll have to forgive me for that. But anyway, so please let me try that again. So let's just pretend that never happened. And I said, hey, if you're new to us, joining us for the first time today,
getting super close to 1,000.
You're so close. When we hit 1,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel, we are going to party like there's no tomorrow. Because who knows, there may not be one.
Hey, this is Shelly.
This is actually this is really kind of a good idea. I don't know that I can necessarily get away with it. I don't want people to feel like they're getting gypped. You know, they're paying for a color book and not getting color. But I am really tempted to do a black and white magazine. If you remember the old Warren magazines. But see, I have to sometimes keep nostalgia from getting in the way. Because a lot of things that I think are cool, your modern audience does not think is cool. So even though there may be a select few of us that think that kind of thing looks really, really cool, your overall broader audience probably does not appreciate it as much. And so therefore you're taking a chance and hurting sales by doing something like that. Who was that?
Oh, reminder call.
Oh,
dentist.
Oh. Nobody wants to be a dentist. Yeah, D. Jones must subscribe.
Yes, must.
You distracted me from the accidental subliminal message. You distracted me with the accidental subliminal message.
How can you distract him from this?
I don't
using
know.
Subliminal messages to distract you from this subliminal message.
I don't know what. Oh,
sub.
Rodney's using my little Doctor Strange drawing I did in his sketchbook as his avatar thing there.
Very cool. Nice. Let's see. We missed some stuff. Gosh, you got to go up.
Yeah, boy, isn't that the truth? I'm the same way, but like I said, like I want to do a treasury-sized edition, but come on, how many people are actually going to buy that?
A lot of dental appointments in that house. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all the the snacking. If you want to go back, go ahead.
Snacking. Oh my gosh.
Actually, most of the snacking we do on this house, we do right here when we're live. But since we're live every day, because that's a lot of snacking.
Oh my gosh.
It's a full moon.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me.
Yes, what Graham did with Black and White that you knew was cool. It was very cool. I'm not going to do that though, because then I'd be copying him. All right, so let's take a look as I push 6 buttons to share my screen. So you can take a look at my script. All right, there it is. We don't need page 1 because we just took. Oh, did we actually look at? We didn't actually look at page 1. We got distracted on all this stuff.
Oh, look at the shiny colors.
My whole purpose was.
Oh, the shiny objects distract us.
Okay, so there's page 1. Okay, and we've got our band of outlaws sitting there in the background. Horses in the foreground. That's their horses all tied up, and they look a little restless. We got a close-up of our leader of the gang, his henchman, back to a close-up of our leader, and then we have this smoke tendriling in around them. So let's take a look at what the script for this actually looked like. So page 1, we have 3 rough-looking hombres are sitting around a fire. And remember, I wrote this for myself, so there's not a lot of description that you might otherwise get in a script that if I was writing for somebody else, for example, to draw. The horses are restless. Dude number 1, probably the toughest looking of the 3, addresses someone off panel. And the person off panel saying, how long until we get to Calamity, which is the town they're going to, Calamity, Arizona, which doesn't really exist. So we have a person they're talking to that's off panel because we don't want to show that person. And the dude number 1 says, I'll take it. It'll take till next full moon before we get to Arizona. Now go check the horses. And he's like, why me? And then we go to that close-up of our leader dude who says, I'm the pack leader, do as I say. Now, I've given you 2 clues already, that full moon and pack leader, that maybe these guys aren't exactly what they might seem to be. So then we pull back to the, originally what I have is 3 dudes are looking off camera, but I'm only going, since I had the close-up of our dude number 1, who's the leader, I pulled back to the middle panel of our 2 guys that were behind him and focused on them. And dude number 2 says, tonight's the last night of the full moon. Maybe you want to challenge the boss. This is not a very good dramatic reading, so I apologize. And the dude number 3 has said, we hadn't had a good fight in a while. And then the person off panel says, no, I'll check the horses. And then panel 4, we go back to that super close-up of our main guy who says, that's what I thought. And then 5, our panel is a weird trail of lenticular smoke creeps up into the campsite. Hey, where's that smoke coming from? And then we have, excuse me, the Wraith's voice coming from off panel saying, servants of the devil. Okay, again, here's our panel, right? So that's what I just described, and that's how I decided to draw it. Okay. And then here's our smoke coming in, and of course we'll have the voice of the Wraith coming off panel saying, servants of the devil. Okay, oops, I gotta do this here. So then we go to page 2, which simply describes a splash page with the Wraith stands on a rock overlooking the 3 dudes around the fire. And the Wraith says, he doesn't say the wraith of God has come for you. He says the wrath of God has come for you. Okay. I'm playing with words here, folks. And so there's the page that we've all seen a couple times, the splash page number 2. Now, the problem I have with this is not the image of the Wraith, but the fact that I've only included 2 of the dudes instead of the 3rd dude in the foreground. And so that's sort of, I'm kind of wondering if I need to change that.
No, we voted.
I know everybody doesn't want me to change that, but let's just, let me stop this for a minute. And let's just take a look and see what it might look like if I were to redo it.
Oh, here we go, folks.
So we have our boss would be closest to us in the foreground, right? The guy with the bowler hat. Okay, so let's say he's here. Well, let's make him bigger. Let's say he's here.
Okay, it's not showing up.
Oh, for crying out loud, Pete. I wonder if I lower this camera.
I don't know.
Again, Shelley, last second live stream, completely unprepared. That's part of the charm.
Sometimes it works. Who knows? Or I do not know.
Okay, I really think
better.
I'm going to be challenged here. Wait a minute, if I get this at the right angle, it'll work.
There we go.
Okay. Okay. Now if I can just, I know it's the overhead light.
Yeah.
If this was actually like right in between, would probably be perfect. I wonder if the pencil would be any better, less reflective. No. Okay. So again, I'm going to get this just, that's no good. That's better. Okay, so we got the guy in the bowler hat, right?
Oh, light. There.
Hey, see, I got up right from underneath that, and okay. Okay, so we've got our guy. And again, this is, I'm not trying to win any awards. with this.
Another pus bucket.
Oh, wow, there.
Turning that one off.
Yeah, I guess if it gets grainy, it doesn't really matter. Okay. Yeah. Okay, at least now we can see it. It's a bit grainy, but we can at least see it. Okay, so we got our guy with the bowler hat here in the, I can zoom out, Shelley. You don't have to lift it up too much. Okay. He actually kind of looks like a conquistador, doesn't he? But that's really not, it doesn't really matter. Okay.
Random thoughts.
Yeah, so we have him here, right? So then maybe our other guys are going to be here.
That's right. We said no redos. We voted.
Well, we're just taking a look at what this might otherwise look like. Okay, so I got my three guys in the foreground, then we got a rock. But you can see that the problem here is that we're already going to have to make the wraith way smaller. So the wraith is going to be here. His gun's out. Yeah, see it. I have to make him smaller here. And then, of course, his cape. So you've got this as opposed to this.
I like seeing the bigger character.
Yeah, I think you're right, because what I can do is I can come in on the next page and reestablish our
The
environment.
other guy might be just farther.
Right. Well,
Stand
he
in
is
front of him.
right.
Okay, but you guys all heard that, right? It's going to be on YouTube. He said I was right.
Shelley was right. Is that what I said?
He
Did I
said,
say?
yes, you're right. I think you're right.
Ouch.
Right. Correct.
Ouch. So anyway, yeah, I think, yeah, because that was my problem to begin with, was it was like I didn't want this reveal of the wraith the first time we see him to be small, right?
Right.
It's a splash page. It's
Impact.
the first thing. So, all right, we'll keep it the way it is.
Aha. All right, let's
So how do we solve the problem then when we go to the next page? Let's take a look. Well, it's not really a problem, but how do we reestablish our setting so that we can follow along and we don't lose our reader?
Let's see. Oh, David's in the house. Don't overthink it, AA Ron.
I always overthink it.
Exactly.
I always overthink it.
Exactly.
Okay, so let me bring up I got to bring up the script again here,
Okay.
which means I have to push
Yep, moving forward.
6 buttons.
Yep, 57 buttons. Oh,
Okay, so we're going to go to page 3, which is right here in the middle. Okay, the big boss stands up. He starts to protest as a bullet rips through his head. So he doesn't get to talk much, does he? He says, "Are you out of your mind? Do you know who?" Blam! And he's dead. He falls into the fire and goes up like a torch. And then we have whoosh, which is a sound effect, which I will actually work in, along with the blam, which is the gun effect. The other two scamper in panel 3, and the one dude says scatter. And so dude 3 runs off through the brush. Low angle, looking up past him as he runs in panic. The wraith is flying through the air, about to land on him. And the wraith says, "You can't run from your judgment." Okay? Now you can already picture what panel 5, how cool that's going to look with a low angle shot of basically the wraith looking like he's flying, although he's just leaping off the rock at this guy. But it should be cool. But now we have 5 panels that we have to deal with here. And I can throw all this out the window as I start to lay the page out. and say, okay, what's going to work best for the storytelling? So my original thought was, why don't I go back to our leader of the pack? We'll designate him with his bowler. Maybe he's hunched over a little bit. He's mad. He could be pointing up with his hand. He stands here, so we get kind of this, kind of looking down on him maybe as an open panel, right? And then maybe we go over here, and he kind of overlaps this panel a little bit, right? And we're going to go to a close-up here of his face, and this bullet is going to go right, bing, through his head. Oh, sorry. So this bullet's going to go right through his head. As his hat goes flying. We're probably going to have these guys, his buddies, in the background going, holy smokes. You know, and maybe, well, I may move him back a little bit and put the other guy right here. Yeah. See, this is kind of the stuff you sort of work out as you're doing it. And one of the reasons you do layouts like this, and I have to admit, when I'm doing monthly books for DC or Marvel or whatever, a lot of times I don't do this because I do the layouts on the page because of deadlines. This is a situation where I'm not really going to be under deadline pressure. So I'm going to take the time to sort of really think through these layouts and
All right, everybody, have a good day. I'm out.
Shelly's off,
Off
folks.
to the pain doctor
It's just you and me.
because I'm such a pain. Gotta go a new one. Enjoy. Draw well.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Statistical Zero says, wait, this book isn't a feel-good story about a hard-to-love man afraid to show his face to the world, adopting a large dog no one else wanted. That was the original concept, but I changed it at the last minute. So anyway, so he takes a bullet through the head, right? And then we want to catch him falling back into the fire because I think this is kind of important. Becomes very important. So he falls back into the fire, dead. My first inclination would be to go low angle here. Okay. Now this may not be the best way to do this because I'm going to end up with a low angle as well. So we could, there's two ways to do this. You have your guy falling into the fire. Okay. We'll do a little Dutch angle here. Earlier, when Joe Bernardo asked me about film school, this is something you absolutely do not do in film school, is a Dutch angle, meaning turn the camera so that the angle's crooked like they used to do on the old Batman TV show. We do that all the time in comics to get a little movement or energy into the panel, but you don't want to be doing that when you're making a movie because it just looks weird. and calls attention to itself, and like it takes you out of the movie. But here in the comic book, it actually adds a little energy and movement. So, okay, so he goes into the fire, right? We're going to get whoosh, probably up that sound effect in the smoke. And so then you've got your two guys here who are just like, what? You know, in the background. And here's your rock up here that the Wraith is standing on. The problem is here, now we're 3 panels into this and we haven't really seen the Wraith. But I got a solution for that perhaps, but we'll take a look at this. Initially what you want to do is you want to stage your page like this and again, get your storytelling figured out. What do I need to show? Okay. Now this may be how I end up doing the page, but more than likely I'm going to go in and tweak a few things. Once I've got everything laid out and I can see all the action that I need to see, say, okay, these are the shots I need to tell this story. Now the question is, did I do everything from the best angle? You know, and that's how you can start kind of futzing around after that to come up with maybe something that looks more dynamic or more interesting. Okay, let's go back to the script real quick so I don't forget something, which means I have to click on 6 different buttons to bring it up. Okay, so the guy falls into the fire, right? Now this is panel 2, but I've already made it panel 3 because I added the extra panel of the big boss because we didn't include him in the splash page. So I need to come back and remind everybody, oh yeah, this dude's also in the picture still. And then with the second panel where he's getting shot in the head, we have the other 2 guys in the background. So now we're established all 3 of them together again. And then their physical relation to each other. And of course, we see all 3 of them as he falls into the fire again on the 3rd panel. Okay, so what do we have next? The other 2 scamper off. Now, this panel here where it says the other 2 scamper off, I don't really need that panel, right? And let me tell you why. I can go, and this is what you do as an artist. You go in and you look at what the script is that you've been given, and the writer isn't always going to visualize everything the right way. He may have like a 5-panel sequence that you can break down into 6 panels or 3 panels, because in whatever, you have to make the decision as the artist or the film director, which is a good analogy, on how to tell the story the best. So you shouldn't be a slave necessarily to the script. We become slaves to the script when we're trying to meet deadlines and don't have a lot of time to work through stuff like I'm doing right now. But this guy could be saying scatter right here, right? We don't need this panel with a guy falling into the fire and then have a guy yelling scatter and then showing them running, right? We can combine those elements here. Okay, so then now this may be 1 panel, it may be 2, I don't know. But we show these guys taking off running. This might be interesting. Now, this is kind of a little Stranko thing, but what if we did this? We do 2 panels here, right? But we actually split them. This is going to be 1 panel split in 2. Why? Okay, let me show you why. Let's say this guy is running this direction. So he's going to be in the background small, right? Okay, so he's running, say, this direction. Then this guy, maybe in the foreground, is running this direction, and maybe we'll have his foot here. You know, maybe we have his hand like this down at his side, and he's, again, these are really rough layouts, so you have to forgive me for this isn't 100% clear, okay? But anyway, so what we've got is we got our ground is here. So we got a guy in the background the two guys, right? They basically split. Okay. And let's say the wraith is maybe up here, kind of watching all this go on. Okay. All right. So what I did here was kind of did a Steranko thing. And why would I do this? Okay, number one, it looks cool, but there's actually a logical reason why you might do this. This could be two panels because you've got two different actions. You got the guy in the background running this direction, and then you got this guy in the foreground running this direction. Okay, so these seriously could be two separate panels, but I'm combining them into one, but then I'm splitting them in two, so you have two separate focuses here, him and him. Okay, so you're taking, and Steranko used to do this all the time. Basically, he used it a lot to stretch out time. This is kind of an old Eisner trick where you could take a single panel and then split it up into multiple panels, but the action stays the same across it. It's like one picture with just dividers across it. And so why do you do that? Is to lengthen the time of that moment in time. Okay, so this might be an excellent place to do this. And so I could dump that scatter and I could put it here too. Scatter, or I could put it in this guy's word balloon, scatter. Okay, so now we get to what should be the really cool shot. Okay, and that's going to be, we're going to go low angle again here. And see, I've got too many low angles, so I'm going to have to probably change something. But this is the shot I really want, because we're going to have this guy, one of these guys running, and let's say maybe he's kind of looking over his shoulder. Okay. Maybe his hand's extended here off panel or something like that, breaking out of the panel. Maybe something like this, right? As he's running. Okay. So then we have the rock back here that the wraith was standing on, and maybe we have some bushes here, you know, whatever. But now we're going to do the wraith like this. Actually, I'm going to make this rock smaller in the background so we can say that he's covered more distance. Okay. And so then we have the wraith like this, almost like a vampire. You have to forgive my dog howling in the background. While we're doing a werewolf story, it's kind of appropriate, right? So now you have the wraith. And here's his cape flying the like bat wings or something, right? Of course, his hat's still going to be on because his hat would never come off. Okay, so, and this suddenly becomes a really cool, frightening image. Obviously not the way I drew it, but of the wraith about to tackle this guy, right? So he's abandoned this guy and gone for this guy first. So this is kind of my, you know, and there's other things you could do here. You could, theoretically, if we wanted to rethink that, maybe we want the wraith a little bit bigger, right? So we bring him in bigger here. And again, I'm spending as little time on my figure work as possible because I just want to get the idea of what the story is, or the visuals. Okay, maybe we want him a little bit bigger, flying through the air, right? Maybe here's the rock back here. And we go closer on the guy running, trying to get away. In the foreground, of course, he's going to have a huge panic look on his face as he's trying to run away, but there's nowhere he can hide. So we might go that direction too, and go with the wraith being larger in panel as opposed to being smaller in panel. Although I do kind of like the idea of seeing the full figure of this guy and have the wraith a little bit smaller. Okay, the other thing that I'm I'm looking at here now, as I look at this page, I don't like the fact that I don't have any wraith action here. So there's a couple things I could do. I could do this. I could make this guy smaller, which I'll probably do, but I still will have him on here. Okay, so let's say I did this. I'm probably going to squeeze these panels because this one doesn't need to be that big. I'm going to squeeze this with an emphasis on him falling in the fire. Sorry. With an emphasis of him falling on the fire, I'm going to squeeze that panel, bring it up a little bit. That allows me bigger panel here, which this is the money shot, right? Now, what I'm probably going to do is let's take a look. Let's say we reestablish this. Let me zoom out a bit. I can. Okay, there. Okay, so let's say I did this. Let's say we go, we're going to break out this line here, okay, and leave it as an open panel. Okay, so let's say I move our gang leader here. And maybe he's kind of bleeding off a little bit off the page, right? Yeah, he's pointing up at the wraith saying, dude, we don't, you know who you're messing with, blah, blah, blah. Okay, right? Okay, then maybe I could go in here and drop in like this, and we could do another one, kind of one of those McFarlane-esque close-ups where we get the wraith like this, eyes narrowing as he's unimpressed, with this guy. Thing is, this is an all black face, so you got to figure out ways to drop some highlights in there so we can, so it just isn't just one big black image. So we kind of get some context of the, the eye. Okay, so we get a, maybe a shot of the wraith here. There's a rim of his, maybe we can work in the rim of his hat right there as a highlight, and the rest of this solid black. Okay, so let's say we drop that in there, right? It's kind of a reaction. Then we can make this one, these two panels like this, right? And so then we get the guy getting blasted in the head again. Boom. His hat falling off. And then our guys, his partners, standing here reacting to him getting blasted in the head. And then we have him, and we could just we could do the panel that we established here, just making it smaller, right? And that may be the way to go. Or we could go from a high angle here of this guy just falling into the fire, right? And going up like a torch. Okay, and the reason we might be able to do this, and so now we're looking down at him, right? Now we go here with this two Stranko-esque panel. Right? And, maybe I'll show a little bit more of this guy. So we have his hand here, right? So he's running away. His foot's here. His other foot's there, okay? Right? So we have a ground here. And we have our other guy running this direction. And then, of course, we have the rock here that the wraith is standing on. So we get him in there again. Okay, I'm really going to abbreviate this. And so we have him there. So we have this guy running, this guy going, and of course he says scatter, right? Boom. And then we go to our last panel, which is either this or the bigger one, but I'm tempted to go with this. And so now I think our storytelling's better because we come off the splash page. I'll go ahead and draw it in there so that I don't have to keep flipping pages here. It's too big, but that's all right. Again, I'm not trying to impress anybody with my artistic ability during this stage. I'm just trying to lay this out so I know what I'm doing when it actually comes to drawing the page. It's not unlike a painter will do a thumbnail color sketch. It's very, very rough, so he understands what his what colors he's going to be, his color schemes is going to look like before he actually starts putting paint on the canvas. Now maybe I'll kick this leg back here farther because I want him to really be hightailing it the best he can. All right, so anyway, so you've got this guy running in the foreground. You got the wraith jumping from the background like a vampire over him. You know, we'll get our rocks and our trees and everything back here, and a little maybe a mountain range or whatever. Some stuff in the foreground maybe. Okay, so excuse me. Let's take a quick review, if we might. David's right. These pages, I think, do need some Fat Albert. In fact, I'm so convinced that he's right. I'm going to give him a little bit of that. Okay, so let's review real quickly where we were at and where we've arrived, where we started and where we arrived at. Okay, so our first page is here. We've got our establishing shot. If you look back again on the right, the background, we have our gang, but they're very much in the background, but it's still an establishing shot. Okay, and he's talking about the horses, so we're showing the horses in the foreground as these guys are discussing, hey, go check the horses. And we're getting a little story information, like how far are we out of calamity, so we know where we're going someplace. These guys are headed someplace. And then we have a mysterious figure standing behind these bushes that we can't see, right? So then we go to the close-up. We get the picture of our boss there, our leader in the second panel, and then a close-up or a closer shot of his henchmen. So now everybody's been established. And then we go to the super close-up, the McFarlane close-up, if you will, of our boss. And then this lentricular smoke comes waving through camp surrounding these guys. And they're like, what the heck is going on? And then, of course, Wraith of God off panel says, you know, servants of the devil, blah, 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 whatever he says. And then we go to this, revealing him for the first time in all of his glory, which Shelley says make a t-shirt out of it. And then we get two of our guys here looking over their shoulders. And then we go to this. So then we go back to our leader saying, you don't know who you're messing with, buddy. The close-up of the Wraith being unimpressed. The bullet goes through his head. Two guys react. He falls into the fire. Boom. Right? And at this point, with this much sort of, really, we've got isolated shots of characters and close-ups. We need to move to more of a wide shot, which we kind of did here as our two guys are in our Stranko shot here, where we got the two guys splitting and running in different directions, and the Wraith kind of overlooking them on the rocks. And then we go to the big, vampire shot, the cool shot of him descending on these guys. And you can only assume what's going to happen on the next page. More Wrath of God. And so then I look at that and I'm going to say, you know what? I think that works pretty good. And then I settle on that and say, okay, this is my layout for the next page. And then I start drawing it. And what does that entail? Well, that entails me getting my blue pencil out, kind of doing a more detailed layout of this on my 11x17 paper in blue line. And then I'll go over it with my pencil and basically clean it up without a lot of erasing, because when I lay the blue pencil down, I don't have to erase it because it's something that either is not going to show up that well when it's scanned, but if you scan it as a bitmap, which is how I scan my inked stuff after it's inked. So you scan it just as line work, that blue drops right out. But if you scanned it, if you don't like to do that, if you like to scan it like as a color scan to get more of the nuanced grays in there and then clean it up later, you can actually scan it and drop the blue completely out of the picture using Photoshop. There's just a couple of clicks and it just drops out. So either way, I don't really have to worry about the blue that I'm going to lay down as my page layout. And then of course I'll pencil that over the top of that, and I'm not going to worry about doing really super tight, clean pencils because I'm inking this, and I want it to have kind of a rougher feel anyway in the inking. So, but anyway, those are some considerations that I make while I'm laying a page out, and it always helps, of course, to read the entire script first, so you sort of have an idea of where you're going and some of the details that you might want to include on characters early in a book that may show up later. And if you don't read the whole script first and you're not really aware of what's going on, like, for example, let's say this guy, well, he's not going to live, but let's say he did and shows up later. If he had something on his vest that was an identifying mark or something that we needed to see later in the story, if I didn't read ahead in the script, I might not put it on there, right? Because maybe even the writer might have forgot to put it on there. And so then I draw him this way, and then he shows up 30 pages later and he doesn't have the necklace or the badge or whatever it is on his costume, because I wasn't aware that he would need it till I got to that point in the script. And then it's like, it's too late because I haven't drawn him with that the whole time, kind of thing. So it's always good to sort of, and since I wrote this, obviously I know what happens, but anyway, so it's always good to kind of at least do a quick read of your script. And I admittedly, that's something I didn't always do. I would just, because it's like, I don't want to sit down and read this, so I would just kind of like start drawing it. And then that happened to me many times where I got to the end and I was like, oops. So I really learned my lesson and started actually reading the entire script, and then would go back and start working on it. Past Master Dan, lots of layouts in such a short time. Amazing. Well, thank you. Again, years of experience doesn't hurt, but really kind of understanding what you need to show to make sure that your audience, your reader, are getting all the information they need to tell the story completely, and that you don't lose them, right? And one of those things I noticed was this Wraith. We couldn't go this long without showing him, okay? Because he's an integral part of what's happening here up at the top. So even though we just saw him on the page prior in the splash page, we still need to see some of him in this earlier interaction, so that we don't lose track of what's going on and who's who and where they're at in the scene. All right, so I do again. We may have some new people that just dropped in, so I'm going to plug this again real quickly. So what I'm doing layouts for is this creator-owned project that called WRAITH of God. What I'm working on here, this is actually going to be page 3. We've seen the first 2 pages. What I'm going to do is I'll get these. Well, page 2 is already inked, obviously, but I will ink page 1 and then get this penciled and inked and then get some color on it. And these pages will be featured in, when the campaign goes live, it'll be on the page, so that there'll be more than just, the 2 cover shots that everybody's now seen 100 times. And I'm going to see it probably 100 more times before this is all done. But I'll have my 3rd cover up, or at least as much of it that's done, that I have done, or that this artist that's doing it for me has done. I will have that up, and then we'll have some interior pages colored, so you get a real feel for what the book's going to look like and what's going to happen. So you get at least these 3 pages and maybe 4. We'll see. And when the campaign goes live. But I will take you through this process in another video of me kind of blue lining and laying out the page. That may end up being actually a process video and not a live stream, because I'm going to have to do it over on my drafting table and set up a camera and actually do it. But so you can actually see the sort of process I go through. If you're interested, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. First, the link for this is in the description here on YouTube, and it's also on my Facebook page, both Facebook pages, my Instagram bio page, my Twitter profile page, and both my pages on Facebook have links to this campaign. And I would request, oh my gosh, I'm losing my voice. Request you guys to go over there if you haven't signed up for it and sign up. There's no money involved at this point. It's just give me your email address so I know you're interested in the project, so I can get a hold of you when I've got announcements to make and when the campaign actually goes live, so I can let you know so that you won't miss it. Again, this is the 2nd cover that'll be available. That was the first. This is the 2nd one. This is my Marvel retro cover that is a lot of fun if you're, a fan of the old Marvel books from the 70s, the early 70s. This was a style of cover that they used for about a year only, and then they moved away from it. But it's one I fondly remember. Back in when comics were only 20 cents. And so again, that's the first page, which I'll be inking, and I'll ink some of this on a live stream, ink some of these panels, so you can kind of see what I'm doing and with the pen and how the look I'm trying to get. And then of course that's page 2, which is inked and ready to get colored, ready to rock and roll. And then of course our layout for the 3rd page right here, which I'll get working on right away. Aaron, you haven't been drawing comics with the pros on Facebook yet. Well, I didn't even know I'd never heard of it before. That's why. So maybe I'll go join that then. You're so dang quick, Aaron. Well, Joe, thank you. I'm secretly the Flash, and now you guys know my secret identity. The word is out. Now, this is interesting. Why does he hire people to draw when it takes him 5 minutes to do it himself? Are you referring to me, Eric? Because who am I hiring to draw? I hire myself to draw. Other than the one cover I'm getting done, but that's more of a sales thing, bringing a big name artist to kind of draw attention to the book. I'm a slower inker than I'm a penciler, and I'm a way slower colorist. And that's why I wouldn't necessarily, I don't want to color this book myself, because it would actually take me months to color this, whereas someone who's really proficient could get it done in probably 2 months. You know, it would take me 6. And I don't want this book to be sitting around and sitting around, you guys sitting around waiting for it to come out. So I want to hire a colorist so I don't have to do it. Although I'll probably color the preview, these pages here that are going to be launching on. Well, I definitely will be coloring these, but I'm not a fast colorist. So. Yeah, Joe, I'm going to do that amongst all these millions of other things I'm doing. I do have you guys. That was the thing I started to talk about when I had the Wraith of God picture up and didn't. And I caught myself and said I was getting ahead of myself. There are I have, I think, 20 some videos of something called Talking Comics and Art with Aaron Lopresti. And those are what I started this YouTube channel doing. And those are basically processed videos. Some of them are about comic collecting. They're not all about art, but most of them are. Excuse me, I just knocked this down. And there's several videos. If you go to my YouTube channel and you look at the list of videos, you'll see them there. They're the earlier ones. And there's about, like I said, about 25 episodes, I think. And there's some on inking, there's some on penciling, there's some on page layouts. There's one really good one on storytelling where I break down my Infinite Crisis dark multiverse project that I did for DC that has some really interesting storytelling things that I did in it. Excuse me. So there are process videos up of me working and talking about technique and approach and things like that. There's like on early Garbage Man stuff, because I started this channel right when I was going to launch Garbage Man as an Indiegogo, and that didn't really work out. So that's why Dark Horse is publishing it for me. But I was doing some videos at that time, which will be 2 years ago, September, and so check those out. There's some pretty good videos in there. Mike says, well, that's because I created it yesterday. Okay, well, how you created a page yesterday and you're like, why haven't you joined? I didn't even know about it. My goodness. And there's Eric. So he was actually, I guess, wondering why hire somebody else when I can do it all myself. It's just some things I'm faster than other things. Let's just put it that way. I want to say hi to Lady Celtic Moon is here. Thanks for joining us, Lady. I appreciate that. But anyway, that's it. This may be the shortest live stream I've ever done, and it's still an hour and 18 minutes. It's like, this is like if you went and saw a bad horror film in the 70s, it would be about an hour and 18 minutes long. And so this is like the length of a bad movie. So hopefully this wasn't as boring as my portfolio review last night was. Although I thought it was interesting, but anyway, so we'll do this more often, and I want to show as much of me working on Wraith of God as I possibly can, because we want to keep the interest up, and I need your guys' help to get behind the project, not only to sign up for it, but to let other people know about it, because it's all, the success of these independent projects is all about, there may be 5,000 people out there that would buy this book if they knew about it. There might be 10,000 people, but the problem is letting them know about it. How do they know about it? And all I can do is post on social media and do videos and appear on other people's videos, do interviews, whatever I can. But I also, if you guys, pimp it out for me and retweet it on your social media, let people know about it so that people that maybe aren't tuned into me but are tuned into you can find out about it. That's the only way this stuff is ever going to work and really stick. And if you want a healthy, independent market that gives you an alternative to a lot of the crap that Marvel and DC are doing right now, this is the way to go about it. So you guys get to play an integral part in making this stuff happen. And none of us can do it without your guys' help. So we appreciate anything you guys can do to get behind us. And I will say that, let me plug a couple other guys. Graham Nolan has a book out right now on Indiegogo that's it's in demand. So it's the store option that's the store option that is open right now. It's called Alien Alamo. He's doing really well with it. I did a cover for that. So you want to go check that out and support that. See if it's something you're into. Andy Smith has got his next First Man story coming out, First Man 2, but that's live on Indiegogo right now. So you want to go visit that and support that if you can. Art to Bear has got Black and White Volume 2. I believe he's still at the pre-launch stage like I am on Wraith, but please go check that out as well. Ethan Van Sciver has like action figures. There's a ton of guys that have stuff up. I think Dan Fraga's Black Flag is still in demand if you want to go order one of those. So there's a lot of cool stuff going on through the indie market. Carl Kiesel has a Kickstarter, Impossible Jones, which I did cover for. Let me go grab that real quick. She's kind of a Plastic Man type character, I guess. And I did this as a pinup for him. Let's see if I can get some light on the subject here. That's really spooky lighting, isn't it? So this was originally a pinup, and now he's doing a trade paperback, and I think this is the cover to the trade paperback. He's actually using this as the cover, which I was kind of honored. So anyway, he's Carl Kiesel, and that's on Kickstarter. I just saw that Carrie Nord, who I'm a big fan of, is going to be launching something on Kickstarter soon. It's not up yet, but I thought that was, that could be really cool as well. So there's just a lot of really cool stuff going on. And so you guys check that stuff out, because you might find some stuff of interest in there. See, Statistical Zero has got my back, and I appreciate it. There you go. Thank you, Hyper Kaiju. Eric's switching to crayons. Excellent. I actually did a drawing of the Blue Beast in crayon, sold it on eBay just to see if I could do it, and it sold. Actually turned out pretty well. But if you have a light enough touch, you can use anything to color with. So, I mean, colored pencils are essentially just more sophisticated crayons. So, Past Master Dan has got it. Like, share, subscribe. That's the ticket. Yeah, see, Eric agrees with me. Coloring is a slow process. It really, really is. And I'm amazed at colorists that work in comics. They can do multiple pages a day. Now, granted, they have people flatting for them, which is the longest and most tedious process of the coloring. But still, that's remarkable that they can move that quickly. To me, maybe I just overthink everything too much. Hyper Kaiju, going back to the horror film reference I made, he likes bad movies, so do I. If they're bad enough to be good, if they're just bad, I can't stand them. But if they've got to be so bad that they're good, then I'm like Commando, for example, Schwarzenegger film. That's so bad it's good. So I love that film. Anyway, so I'll live stream a couple more times. I'm headed to not today. Well, actually, I might. EVS has a thing on tonight. I might join. I don't know what's going on with that, but I might drop in on that as well. But I'm leaving town Thursday to Kansas City to do the Fountain City Mini Con, which is on Saturday in Kansas City, Mizzou. And I'll be appearing Friday at Phoenix Comics for a signing. So I'll be there Friday and Saturday, then out the door back here on Sunday. So a quick turnaround one-day show. And also then I'll be doing Free Comic Book Day in Tennessee, of all places, at Golden Age Comics. And that's in mid-August. And then right when I get back from that, I'm going to launch Wraith of God live, and we'll see if we can make this thing happen in a big, big way. So anyway, there's a good statement right there. I backed a lot of the professional books. We need to back them, showing the big two that we care when the creators care. And, that's the funny thing. When you usually get, we're doing our own stuff, you usually get better stuff out of it. So I tried my crayons from when I was 11 yesterday. Scanned it, looked great. Maybe not too pro looking though. Well, you know, if you're coloring when you're 11 is probably not as refined as it might have been, might be now. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. Remember to like and subscribe this YouTube channel because we're super close to 1,000. Once we hit 1K, we're gonna have a big party. I don't know what we'll do, but it's going to be big, and I'm sure that cake will be involved to some degree, or at least pie. I'm more of a pie guy than I am a cake guy, because
everybody loves pie.
And it's true, everybody does love pie. So we will, we might be doing a big dessert fest. There might be confetti involved. You know, really just maybe some great clips that I can come up with to really celebrate the moment. So anyway, like and subscribe to this channel. Support Wraith of God if you can. And we will, oh, I did this yesterday, which is Wonder Woman black and white. I'm just going to leave it black and white. So it's kind of cool. A little cross-hatching there on her bustier. And her breeches are black with white stars. So that was kind of fun. Actually, I do this in celebration of the black and gold book that DC has coming out for Wonder Woman that they did not ask me to participate in. So I'm not saying that I'm upset about it, but I'm upset about it. So anyway, that was my, you know, my little contribution to black and white Wonder Woman. All right, stalled enough. I'm out of here. Oh, look at that. Shelly's on the road and she's saying, I like. There you go. How about that? And then, of course, we get a shot from Mike heading out the door. Viva la revolution. I can't do it like Shelly can. Viva la revolution. Which, of course, is going to get you one of these. There'll be no revolutions in my chat. All right, guys. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your day, and we will we'll see you. Maybe see you tonight on EVS's stream. If not, I'll probably see you tomorrow with something. So take care. Until then, be good.